Hello, welcome to Vid-Ography, episode 3, Ravenous 4. Hello, my name is Matt, and this is the first proper review on this channel. This is the third episode already, but I want to dive into something a bit current, something that is just incredible to listen. Now, why I haven't included spoiler warnings in the title? Well, thing is, YouTube is becoming so full of spoiler titles and everything. I feel that after a certain time has passed, is it really a spoiler? Granted, if you click onto it on trying to listen to something without actually listening to the adventure itself, I would class that as a big old spoiler. Purely because the fact of the matter is, when you click a review, no matter how long ago it's been, sometimes people feel that it's still a spoiler. Well, what I can just say is please avoid all the titles if you do not want any spoilers so you don't get upset by it. Purely because I've seen people say that this has ruined this for them, they won't listen to something, they won't click on it. Purely because, as I say, come and judge it. So this is my first audio review in quite some time. I'm sometimes not very good with audio reviews because I have to picture it visually in my mind as how it would be done on the television, and then you're trying to describe it a bit. But this one is so easy and refreshing that you can count it as that. So let's get started. So Big Finish, who are just becoming the most in-source, and each year goes strength to strength for Doctor Who content when the show is not on air. And I have to say, congratulations to all the staff and all the cast and everyone that came together for Ravenous 4. It's essentially, it's 3 stories, but a 2-parter, unless you have the mobile edition or a whole platform where you've got it all spliced into one. It's 3 essential stories to not only the history of the show, but it completely changes the way that we think of the Master and his timeline. So, Whisper, Planet of Dust, and Day of the Master. Wow. From the moment Whisper started, and it's all dubious still about the 11's association. Liv is still not a particularly massive fan of him, but Helen is trying to give the benefit of the doubt, be the voice of reason. To me, it's been a wild ride. You kind of got that feeling that the 11 would turn again. You got the feeling that somehow the Master would be involved. And who would be better than to kick off the revelation that he's been working with the Ravenous, the Master, that everyone's been trying to work out where the heck he fits in the timeline, is Geoffrey Beevers. And what I quite like is this is it for him. He's at the end of the lifespan because Beevers is the final incarnation of his original cycle. And there's a whole great plot device that will be explained in Day of the Master that fixes why the other Masters hadn't faded from history. Because when you die, you're supposed to lose yourselves. But I think the Time Lords had a thing with that, which we'll get onto in a bit. But Ravenous is very action-packed for the 8th Doctor outside of the Time War. It's got that vibe of the early 8th Doctor adventures and the early main range for him. It's like going back to basics. It is just amazing. It is wonderful. And when you got legends of British culture and having the Gentleman come back for his second audio and was so menacing, Eric Roberts as Bruce / the Master, it was just so wonderful to hear him properly. I was not expecting him to fight the 8th Doctor until they said that he would be meeting him again. And oh boy, this has been just an amazing bumpy ride. But it's really a bit of a game changer when you look at what the timelines are and everything for both, not only the 11 but the Master. Because Missy being involved, this is drawing her timeline going up and down, because it's even hinted on in the River Song that she's been going up and down the timeline as far back as when 11 was running around. So it's a wonder where she is at this point of her lives. But the only question I have thought about is because she is the current incarnation at this present time, and where it left off in Twice Upon a Time, I still wonder if she has been allowed to retain these memories, because, a current master is the only one that is allowed to keep it, a bit like the Doctor. All the current versions of a Time Lord are allowed to retain their memories where their predecessors cannot. So Ravenous has just been amazing. The origins of them I was surprised, but it was devastating about the planet. All these creatures that came from got turned by accident by Artron into these monsters. The Time Lords were as vicious as ever. Well, I say them, I mean falling for the Master, calling them in for the battle TARDISes, then it's revealed that they're the ones that manipulated the whole event just so they could grant the Master a new regeneration cycle. It's just bonkers. And it finally solved that age-old problem. Where does Alex McQueen fit into all this since he joined Big Finish? And it's bittersweet that Missy would be the one to utter his catchphrase, because lots of people, even I, have drawn the similarities that if Alex McQueen's Master was put next to Michelle Gomez's Missy, they'd both be very alike. So it's only fitting that they had the two crazy masters meet, but they all meet briefly at the end, even though he's not in it, Alex McQueen, but his version is, because Beavers finally regenerates. I mean, it almost damaged him being in the body for so long. It made the Doctor old, because he was young when he left Gallifrey, and then he aged into an old gentleman with white hair. And yes, though in Name of the Doctor he's old looking, I think that is purely down to our perception of the Doctor, because I don't think they wanted to cast somebody that wouldn't look like William Hartnell. Purely speculation and all that, but that's a different matter. But Ravenous, my God, it's thrills, it's excitement. Ravenous 4 is by far the best box set out of the 4 released. And I have to say, each story was a heavy hitter. There is so much stuff in here that makes you feel like this is it. This is how McGann should have been on screen. Because loads of people still want Paul McGann to be the Doctor on screen. Big Finish is the closest we'll ever get to him on screen. And all the cast in here, from the smallest people in here to all the people playing their parts, just incredible. I've not heard this much fun and excitement from like an 8th Doctor adventure since before Legacy of Time. The last adventurous story I could think of for him, from my view, is... Sorry, I'm just trying to remember. It has been a little bit of a while, folks, since I've listened to a story. I have to say, probably since the 8th Doctor range. I mean, no, not the 8th Doctor. I tell you, the last time it was all fun for me, for him, was Dark Eyes. Doom Coalition was a bit fun, but that was only when River arrived. But this is the funnest he's been. The Masters will play off well with each other. Psychopaths. But, it was really funny that Sim and Gomez played off with each other, but they were more trying to play off the fact that they wanted to kill each other, but they didn't. And McQueen and Beavers tried to kill each other, but the Masters in here for once were all at unity, despite Gomez winding up both Roberts and Jacoby's versions. But it was quite enjoyable. Would I give it a rating? Absolutely. 10 out of 10. It's one of the most strongest box sets from Big Finish. And you should go and buy it. Ravenous, to me, it is just spectacular. Paul McGann is on far, far great point. Nicola Walker, Hattie Moorhan, Mark Bonner, the entire cast was incredible. I'd say go and listen to it, you will not be disappointed. So if you feel like I've spoiled it a bit with like the regeneration, but I feel that is one of the most incredible things, and it's the end of an era for the 11, because we say goodbye to him as well in this, and he becomes the 12. Now my biggest question next is, because Magan sees her in the Time War next, is that for the first time from his perspective? Because I still need to listen to the box set for Time War, so that's new to me. But if the 12 has been running around, I wonder if the Doctor does see her again, or meets for the first time before the Time War, because he hasn't met the 12. I mean, I do love the fact that, because Big Finish is playing on the fact that nobody really knows that Missy's the Master, because in the timelines, back then, the only woman mad scientist running around was the Rani, who I feel needs to come back, because Siobhan Redmond's only had 2 outings. I'd like to see what she was doing for the war, because we've now had the Valiard, we've now had the Master, and even Susan has joined the fighting, so I'm quite excited by this. But again, as I say, that's all to be covered on more podcasts in the future. This is just a Ravenous review. And I say Ravenous 4, all the writers were spectacular. From John Dorney wrote a cracking finale. He's really stepped up a level in the writing department, as in, to be able to twist a story, to have so many stories ongoing, and letting the actors all have like their says and plays off with each other. To me, that is incredible craftsmanship for a finale. And you think Day of the Doctor was a good multi-Doctor story? You have heard nothing until you hear the Master stories. I mean, the Master is on the verge of death and will do anything. But you know, it was kind of sweet in a way, because Day of the Master felt like they were all protecting each other. Even when they were betrayed by the 11 and kicked him off the TARDIS, you could tell the Master really protects whatever version he is. A bit like how the Doctor protects themselves. Even though they bicker, they got to get on because it's the same person but with a different face. Alright, well, that's my view of Ravenous 4. Amazing sound design, absolutely spectacular. And hopefully we've got more great stuff on the horizon for the 8th Doctor, because called a bit behind the scenes, they're getting ready for the plan for the next box set, which I'm quite excited for. Okay, this is Matt signing out of Vid-Ography, episode 3, Ravenous 4 review. Speak soon, bye bye.